independent anchor Don Lemon, or you want to reporter, reported on the scene to protest and ICE. He interrupted church service, and Don Lemon decided to take matters in his own hand. Well, what he did. Well, Nicki Minaj decided to take jabs at Don Lemon, calling him every name in the book, even a homophobic slur. And Don Lemon responded back with a quick clapback about Nicki Minaj's personal crusade to get her husband or her brother a pardon. And he with tit for tat from on there. We'll get to the latest on the next edition of Vow. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Viral. I'm your host, as always, Kendrick Dix here. Glad you can join us here on Viral. We talk about Don Lemon and Nicki Minaj clash over having a heated social media Twitter war over ICE and stuff, protests and stuff. Where Don Lemon was not invading, but having a crusade on ICE. But we'll get to it in a minute. But first thing first, join in the conversation using the hashtag Viral here on Connect, and don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe is caring. Tell a friend. Tell a friend. Call a friend. Hit that subscribe button so you won't miss a thing. Here on Viral, we talk about Don Lemon and Nicki Minaj clashing over ICE protests. It all started when Don Lemon, a worldwide known anchor, used to work for CNN. Now he's went on his own. Now he's an independent anchor now on his own show called the Don Lemon Show. Went on the scene on his specials, and he was trying to protest ICE or the cruelty and the humanity of what went down in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Don Lemon went and crusaded into a church trying to find the leader of the ICE office. That's who he is, a pastor. Well, mind you, Don Lemon tried to confront the pastor and most of his congregation on the wrongdoing by being having church and not trying to follow the word of God. And it was just a whole total chaotic situation. But then Nicki Minaj stepped in online, calling Don Lemon homophobic slurs, trying to call him out, saying that he needed to be in jail and be deported. A lot of stuff going on. Let's hear from the latest on our very own Bob Evans. Bob, can you take away on what's going on between Don Lemon and Nicki Minaj?
A new celebrity clash is setting social media on fire. Nicki Minaj and Don Lemon are at the center of a growing controversy, and it all started inside a church. Don Lemon covered a protest that disrupted a Minnesota church service, sparking outrage online. But no one reacted louder than Nicki Minaj. The rap icon took to social media, blasting Lemon with explosive accusations, calling his actions disrespectful, and even demanding he be arrested. Her choice of words quickly ignited backlash, with critics accusing Nicki of crossing the line into homophobia. Don Lemon fired back, defending his journalism and calling out what he says is blatant hate, refusing to back down. Now the internet is divided. Is this about free speech, media accountability, or has celebrity outrage gone too far? This is Viral, where culture, controversy, and conversation collide.
Thank you, Bob, for that informative insight. Bob Evans, one of the best in the business, telling us on what's going on between Nicki Minaj and Don Lemon. We know that Nicki Minaj recently turned heads as being a member of the MAGA um, cult. She wants to be MAGA now instead of, hey, is what it is. That's her preference that she wants to support President Trump in his agenda, as well as Don Lemon disagrees, but then I think that's where the whole issue had stopped. Well, Don Lemon clapped back, and let's hear what Don Lemon had to say about Nicki Minaj.
What is going on with Nicki Minaj?
Christianity is central to all of this, right? That was really the thing, the first domino where she very publicly started to support President Trump. That was her sort of tiptoeing into MAGA world when Trump came out and said that we were going to take military action if necessary in Nigeria to protect Christians who are allegedly being persecuted and massacred allegedly in Nigeria. And Nicki Minaj had already tweeted about that issue. And then when Trump started talking about it, she very publicly supported him, sat down with Charlie Kirk's widow, with Erica Kirk, and full-throatedly said she is a supporter of President Trump and J.D. Vance and the administration.
Honestly, I don't think Nicki Minaj is that smart. I think what she's smart at is creating outrage and doing things that are outrageous because that works for her. That gets attention for her. She doesn't have the creativity and I believe the intelligence to be able to do something in an articulate way to gain some real attention and to bring light to a subject. What she's doing now is not going to bring light to anything. It's just going to be outrage. It's going to enrage people on social media. It's going to just divide people more. And if she is a true Christian, she should be trying to bring people together and not be so divisive.
Don Lemon not holding back one bit. You can tell Don Lemon trying to poke the bear with Nicki Minaj, saying that Nicki Minaj trying to seek some pardon for her husband or her brother, since they are known as what they got going on with them. We'll keep it like that. Sex offenders and stuff like that. Well, let's hear what you people had to say. You people had a lot to say. Let's hear what you people had to say on what the people say about Don Lemon and Nicki Minaj going blow to blow.
So, Boo, how you feel about that Don Lemon, like what he said about Nicki Minaj?
Whoa, I don't care.
What you mean you don't care? I figured like y'all was in like a community together, you know. Y'all.
No,
right.
I live in Baltimore. I've never seen Dawn in my community.
No, because see, I thought y'all was like a coalition because I was been watching Tommy Power Book and they got like a coalition of drug dealers.
So you thought we was a rainbow coalition?
Yes, rainbow coalition.
No, Dawn ain't said shit I ain't never heard before.
I was just thinking, you know, he said that girl needed to be deported.
And you heard that before. You remember after she done the interview with Erica Kirk?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody was saying Nicki Minaj need to be deported.
True.
They were talking about her husband and
True.
talking about her brother. Like,
True.
He didn't say shit I ain't never. I let the other sissies rave about Dawn. I don't got a Dawn nor a Lemon in this fight.
I thought y'all was a coalition community. Oh, but I get it, because I wouldn't be in a coalition with big girls. I don't agree with everything they do.
Right. Let's go get a drink.
Okay.
Nicki Minaj is slamming Don Lemon over his coverage at a church protest, and now he's responding to the criticism. In case you're unaware, Don Lemon is a former CNN anchor who is now an independent journalist. He recently shared a live stream video from a protest in Minneapolis, where activists disrupted a church service in order to protest ICE. He was reporting on the event as it unfolded. Protesters believed that a pastor at the church had a connection to ICE, so they stormed the service to call attention to that. In response, Nicki Minaj took to Twitter writing, "Don blank suckin' Lemon is disgusting." She says, "I want that thug in jail. He would never do that to any other religion. Lock him up." She also shared multiple other tweets with the hashtag Arrest Don Lemon. Nicki also retweeted this post from one of her fans. She says, "I'm glad they're angry. They're about to get angrier." And Don Lemon shared a video response on his Instagram page. In the video, he says, "Nicki Minaj, stop talking about things you know nothing about." He calls her a homophobic bigot and says she doesn't care about African Americans. He also says from what he knows, he believes Nicki Minaj is undocumented, therefore under Trump's rules, she should be deported. Don also mentions Nicki's husband and brother, saying, "You have the nerve to talk about me?" And he tells her to get a life and stop being a pick-me. You can watch the full video on his Instagram page. He also spoke to TMZ, saying, "I'm not surprised Nicki Minaj does not understand journalism and is weighing in on matters that are above her capacity. However, the more appropriate image for her post is a pick-me doll, referring to a person who is overcompensating and needs validation." Meanwhile, Donald Trump reshared this tweet on his platform Truth Social. It says, "A small group of elderly ladies were protesting at an abortion clinic and were given 40 years in prison for violating the FACE Act. I would like to see the same kind of sentence for Don Lemon and the people that broke into that church and did that during service. And the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, says President Trump will not tolerate the intimidation and harassment of Christians in their sacred place of worship. She says the Department of Justice has launched a full investigation into the despicable incident that took place earlier at a church in Minnesota. Let me know your thoughts down below and follow me for more.
Nicki Minaj is a loser. She's a loser. And she's kind of been a loser. But because she can rap well, y'all act like she's not a loser. And she's been a loser for a while. And y'all call her a queen. And y'all fight on her behalf in my comments on a daily basis. Yeah, y'all are losers too. Y'all are losers. She's a loser. And, you know, if you like what's happening in America so much, then maybe you should be deported back to Trinidad, where you're from. Because you're for all of the deportations. Be deported, girl. Go home. Go home, Roger. Go home.
Breaking, DOJ announces intention to charge Don Lemon under the Ku Klux Klan Act.
It plays to their base, and their base is full of racist, bigoted homophobes, like Nicki Minaj, by the way.
So Nicki Minaj sent a tweet out. Don cocksucking, her words, Lemon is disgusting. How dare you? I want that thug in jail. He would never do that to any other religion. Lock him up. And then she bizarrely puts a Chucky doll.
First of all, Jen, you know, how we met is that I was promoting my book on Christianity. And so Nicki Minaj is not a Christian. She knows nothing about a Christian. What she is a grifter. Nicki Minaj doesn't care about Black people. She doesn't care about gay people. Those are two of her biggest supporters and the people who make her rich. If we were in the day where we bought records, I would be burning Nicki Minaj's records today. So I am so glad that I've never been a Nicki Minaj fan. I don't know her music. There is nothing on my playlist that's ever Nicki Minaj, and there isn't going to be, because she is an ignorant pick me, and I choose not to pick her.
Now, Nikki, Don Lemon did you really nice because he never mentioned the fact that your house might get auctioned in 2 days. Now, y'all have been seeing the coverage of Nicki Minaj and Don Lemon basically going back and forth on the internet. And after calling her an illegal migrant, I think it's interesting that he didn't mention that house. Now, at the time Don Lemon was being a journalist at the scene of a protest in a church, Nicki Minaj had posted this, and you can pause to read it, but we had already covered it yesterday. But if you're not going to read it, she basically said, Don, epithet, Lemon is disgusting. How dare you? I want that thug in jail, which is so interesting. She goes on to say that he would never do that to any other religion, lock him up. Then she followed it up with this tweet and said, LOL, I purposely wrote it that way because I knew that they, referring to the media, would only get that another epithet to post about it. She goes on to say that they would have all collectively ignored the despicable behavior displayed by Lemonhead. She said, I'm glad they're angry. They're about to get angrier. Not as angry as you about to be on January 22nd. Now, if you guys remember, a few years back when Nicki Minaj was on tour, she had gotten into an argument dispute with one of her assistants behind stage. A security guard ended up separating the two ladies, and then Nicki Minaj's husband, Kenneth Petty, punched the security guard in the jaw, breaking it. That security guard then ended up suing, and because the Minajes/Pettys didn't show up to court, he ended up winning a default judgment of over $500,000. And then when they refused to pay, that security guard and his legal team went to the judge and said, hey, what are their assets? Oh, that very expensive house? Put that up for sale. The judge then requested that the bank, the lien holder of Nicki Minaj's home, to come into court and present documents to determine if the house has built any equity. Well, fast forward 2 days into the future because we're going to get that decision. And on January 22nd, Nicki Minaj is going to find out if her home has to go up for sale. I actually commend Don Lemon for not mentioning the house because I know that she's going to be in shambles on the internet. I fear she has other bigger issues to worry about, and that's probably why she has reemerged back on the internet, because she knows issues about to go down on January 22nd. Now, as soon as we find out if her home got to go up for sale, I'm going to keep you guys posted.
Nikki, can you please, because what are we doing? Calling Don Lemon a sea sucker. Girl, I knew you was homophobic. For years. You used up all of the gay coin, all of the queer coin. You're a user. That's what you do. You're a user. You want to sit here and be fake outrage about an ICE agent being